Those men, I think they work for Guy McAfee. Do you know the name?
No. Why should I?
June Ballard is married to Guy McAfee. Have you heard of her?
That slut. She's been badgering my husband for days.
Mrs. McAfee alleges that your husband tried to kill her and her friend last night. I think you should tell us what you know.
My husband's a movie producer. This has something to do with his new picture. He doesn't include me in his business.
June Ballard said she had a deal to be in his new picture.
Mark repeatedly told her no. He had Joan Leslie lined up for the role. That's how he got the finance. June made all kinds of threats. She was very rude to me.
You know June Ballard?
We were both on the same picture a few years back. That's how I met my husband.
Your husband was using June Ballard in his new movie?
Hardly. Mark feels that June Ballard has limited range and is over the hill.
You're lying to cover for your husband. Do you know what you'll get for aiding and abetting?
I've been abused and slapped, and now I'm accused of lying? I would hope you would show a little more respect in the future.
Where can we find your husband, ma'am?
He told me he would be on set. That's all I know.
Either we find him or McAfee's people do, Mrs. Bishop. If you care for him, you should make sure that we find him first.
I do care for him, but I don't really know where he'd go if he were in trouble. Hopgood might know.
You are complicit in all of this, Gloria. You know what happens to these poor deluded kids, and you go along with it. I need to find your husband.
Why'd you come to Hollywood, detective? Handsome young man like you might find a little something in the movies. You've never thought about it?
No, I haven't.
Well, then you must be the only person in this burg who hasn't. We're born into temptation, detective. It's character that determines what we do about it.
You're lying, Gloria. He knows he has to get out of town, and you're covering for him.
I'm tired of this, and you have nothing to go on. Mark? Leave Los Angeles? Never. They'd have to kill him first. What other city would allow men to behave so abominably and celebrate the fact? He'll talk or buy his way out of this.
I wouldn't bet on it, sister.
Why is your husband paying Lorna Hopgood $20,000?
Lorna? Marlon's ex-wife? Are you sure?
Your husband looks like he's being blackmailed. They obviously have something on him if he's prepared to kill to cover it up. Why is the payment going to Hopgood and not McAfee?
Lorna works at a check-cashing place in Hollywood. You need to ask Hopgood why he needs that much money in cash.
You're lying, Mrs. Bishop. It's some kind of payoff. You know exactly what the money is for and who it's getting paid to.
Do I? Would you like to prove that, detective?
Your husband looks like he's being blackmailed. They obviously have something on him if he's prepared to kill to cover it up. Why is the payment going to Hopgood and not McAfee?
Lorna works at a check-cashing place in Hollywood. You need to ask Hopgood why he needs that much money in cash.
It's a lot of money, Mrs. Bishop. Doesn't it strike you as unusual?
Perhaps. Movies are expensive to make. You'd be surprised what expenses get hidden in the budget and how the money gets moved around.
You're lying, Mrs. Bishop. It's some kind of payoff. You know exactly what the money is for and who it's getting paid to.
Do I? Would you like to prove that, detective? You're wrong, detective. My husband is a miscreant, but that doesn't mean he feels shame for what he does. He would never tell me.
Your husband was at a casting yesterday with a young girl?
Not that I know of. He told me he was looking at locations. The picture's been cast.
Jessica remembered a mermaid. The mermaid on the front of the prop store. You better come clean with me.
This is a sick town, Detective. Are you sure you really want to know? The truth is, my husband likes them young.
And you think that's okay?
I was 16 when I first met him. I thought he was a genius, a magician with film. I was 20 before I realized he was just a B-movie hack. But he's nothing compared to some of the monsters at these big studios. My guess is Ballard sacrificed her little friend. Happens to a lot of girls.
The girl is named Jessica Hamilton. She was drugged. You should tell me what you know, Mrs. Bishop.
My husband is no saint, Detective. He is going to have to atone for his own sins.
You know exactly what happened yesterday, don't you, Mrs. Bishop? You've been through it yourself.
I'm gonna call my lawyer. You have a damn cheek accusing me of that. You should be ashamed of yourself, Detective. I've already been through a lot today without your harassment.